You're listening to Podcast PXN, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Let's do this.
What's up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 115. I am one of your hosts, Robo, and I am alongside the Halo boys, Gage and Daniel. How are you guys doing today?
Diplomatic, I love it.
I
love it. I knew what you wrote, Dan. I saw what you wrote.
Wait,
what
I love it.
Wait, what did I wrote? Right.
You know what you wrote.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you, everyone, for watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Just search up Podcast PXN or follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/podcastpxn. And we're also live on Twitter. The topic of the show is the Game Awards. Well, more specifically, our predictions for the announcements that are going to be at the Game Awards. We're going to get right into that. But first, we always start with the PXN news of the week. But even before that, Quick Bites, a nice little segment that Christian started a couple weeks ago. We're going to keep it going. Got a few quick bites for you before we dive into the PXN news of the week. So the first one is Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers are going to get some Halo goodies starting this month, December 8th, which is the day that I'm pretty sure Halo Infinite comes out, right?
Yes.
Yes, exciting stuff. Game Pass Ultimate subscribers are also going to be getting some XP rewards as well as a cool little coating for their assault rifle. I believe this is going to be continuing each month. Is that right? Every month? Every month you're going to get a cool little bonus for being Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, which I think is pretty cool. I assume that most people are already playing Halo by using Game Pass, so if you have the premium version, you get a little bit more. So I think that's pretty neat.
I'll take all the customization I can get at this point.
Exactly.
Indeed.
And speaking of Game Pass, the games for December have been announced. The big ones, I think, are, of course, Halo Infinite, Aliens Fireteam Elite, which is, I believe, the multiplayer Dead Island kind of style, or Left 4 Dead sort of style game.
Yeah.
But instead, it's Aliens. Got Among Us coming to Xbox on console, and Stardew Valley. There's a couple of other games. Yes, that is a fun game. Everybody should definitely try that out if you haven't already. And yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff there. Final Fantasy 13-2 as well. I still have to beat the first one. But yes, got a great slew of games coming for you in December.
Yeah.
Any of those? Yeah, Daniel.
I was already interested in Aliens Fireteam Elite, and I know it kind of got like average reviews and stuff like that, but I'll probably check it out now that it's going to be on Game Pass, so that'll be cool. And of course, Among Us as well.
I will gladly check that out with you because I thought the same thing. It looked fun. Yeah. Didn't look worth spending money on. But it got like 7.7s and 6.5s out of 10. Everybody said it was decent, but it was just a really crowded year. So I will jump in with that as well because that looks interesting. Also, Stardew Valley is one of the greatest indie games ever made. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have to say it. It was made by one guy, and look at how huge it is. Like, you think it's a mainline game. Stardew Valley's awesome. Everybody should check that out.
Agreed. And yeah, Aliens is definitely like the perfect Game Pass game, I think, as well. So
yeah,
I may even check it out, even though I'm probably freaked out by it. But it looks like a good Game Pass game.
Yes.
The PS Plus games have also been announced for December 2021. Godfall Challenger Edition, which isn't even the full game, but you could play it if you want to. DC Supervillains is also available, and Immortal Shell have been announced for the PS Plus. An interesting month, I guess. I guess. But we're at the end of the year, so I guess that's to be expected.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's jump in to the PXN news of the week, and the first story today is Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection has been ESRB rated, suggesting a release is close by. The upcoming Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection will be the first time the PlayStation exclusive franchise will be playable on PC, and a new clue points to the collection being close to release. The collection which will include remasters of both Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy, have been rated by the ESRB. PlayStation also says, where is it here? Yeah, official word from Sony says the game will release in early 2022, with the PlayStation 5 version due to launch a little earlier than the PC one, which is being developed by Iron Galaxy. Now, you guys, have both of you played through Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy? No?
I I never finished Lost Legacy. I kind of got disinterested by it, but yes, I've beat Uncharted 4, and such a good game.
Yeah.
Such a good game.
I'm excited to
And-
jump into it. I tried to play the Uncharted series from first to 4 after 4 came out, but 1 is doesn't really hold up that well in terms of gameplay. It was a bit rough around the edges. So I kind of, it threw me off the train. So I am looking forward to jumping into something. Yeah, pun
Yeah, the
intended.
train.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to jump into this. What's weird though, it's interesting. I wonder if something happened because they announced that Uncharted was coming to PC before they announced and gave a release date for God of War coming to PC, which is really interesting because they announced this quite a while back, and then out of nowhere, Sony Santa Monica just tweeted out and was like, "By the way, God of War is coming to Steam in January." So, yeah, that's interesting. But the PlayStation ports have been spectacular so far, so I'm very excited to jump into this on PC.
Yeah, and the only disappointment for me for this is that all those PC players that don't get to play the original trilogy, because like there's so many, like Uncharted 2 and 3 are amazing. Like obviously Uncharted 2 is the better game. But it's
Just like Halo. Yeah.
No, no, those are fantastic games, and like the set pieces in those games, like we were making, light of Gage's little nod that he put in there about the train, but that train sequence is phenomenal in Uncharted 2, and then the plane sequence in Uncharted 3, like, people got to play those games. Put them on PC, Sony, come on.
Because they're also direct sequels to each other, and it's a very linear, narrative-heavy story. It's kind of like porting The Last of Us Part 2 to PC and not porting Last of Us Part 1. Like, what? Why? Yeah, I was surprised they didn't do the Nathan Drake collection as well, unless they're going to maybe shadow drop that as a tease and be like that. Maybe that's why they announced it, and then it came out after God of War. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it sucks that you aren't able to first 3. I don't know if it's so narrative heavy, but the characters really do evolve after each sequel. But if you play 4, that's where it's like it is narrative heavy, because if you play 4 without playing the first 3 or any of them, I guess you're losing out on that experience. I don't even know if you have to play all 3, but you have to play at least one of them to at least enjoy 4 to its maximum, I think.
Does Chloe come up in 4? Unless this is a story spoiler and it's a big moment, don't answer. But does Chloe come in at 4 at any point?
I don't think she does.
I don't think so.
So then that's the other thing too, is that you'd be playing Lost Legacy and you'd be like, oh, this is cool, but who's this character?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But like, unless you play 2, you don't know who she is.
Fair
exactly.
point.
Yeah. So yeah, that is a bummer. So if there's anybody out there who's looking to pick up that collection on PC, I would highly suggest playing the first 3 before jumping in. But it's up to you. It's probably still a really fun game to play regardless. But yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next story. CD Projekt Red is scaling back Cyberpunk 2077 support to work on the expansion. I'm reading from IGN. George Yang writes, CD Projekt Red has been gradually shifting to new projects while continuing to support Cyberpunk 2077. The studio is also allocating more resources to work on the game's expansion. In CD Projekt Red's Q3 earnings report, it shows that the majority of the company was still supporting Cyberpunk 2077 up until the end of September this year. Now, CD Projekt Red is focused on Cyberpunk 2077 impending expansion, along with Gwent-related projects and projects involving Spoko, another studio under the CD Projekt umbrella. Additionally, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series versions of Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt are still on track for their respective Q1 and Q2 2022 releases. I always mix up. I don't know why I do this when I'm reading about Cyberpunk 2077, but I always mix up Cyberpunk and the company's actual name. I don't know why I interchange them, but I think it's a deeper problem going on there. But anyway, you guys, they're kind of scaling back support on Cyberpunk 2077, the core game, but they're still working on the expansion. Have either of you tried Cyberpunk 2077, or I know Dan, you dabbled a little bit.
Yeah, very small amount. Well, probably like a couple hours, and then I was like, all right, there's so many other things that came out, and I started playing other things, and I never went back to it. So at this point, I'm just gonna wait for the next gen versions to be finished. But it is a little bit puzzling that they're moving on to the expansion before finishing the next gen ports first. Obviously, there's certain can have art people working on the next thing, but like keep all of your engineers and everything working on the bugs and issues with the next gen versions to get it in our hands. We'd like to play it, or I'd like to definitely play it, because I know a lot of people really liked the game on PC that had like good enough rigs to actually play it and not be unplayable. But still interested in checking it out eventually one day.
Yeah, that's what I heard from people too. Is that when the game works, it is a proper CD Projekt Red like epic scale, really good story game. But I'm just at first I was waiting until it got fixed, and now I think I'm just waiting for when it goes on sale because there are so many other games that I'm playing right now. So yeah, it's I'm glad that they're not moving on to the next thing and just writing this game off. So even though it's an expansion and it's not bug fixes, at least they're not giving up on the game, which is a good news.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a game that I dabbled in as well. I not famously, but I played it on Stadia is where I played it, and I actually had the best experience there because I bought it on Steam and then it was just not working, and then I tried it on Stadia and it performed pretty well for what my system was, and I just dropped it, but because I wanted to get the best experience out of it. So it's definitely a game that I want to go back to eventually. So the ship hasn't sailed completely for me, but yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get back to it. Just like both of you were saying, it's something that's I want to, but there's so many other things out there that frankly are better experiences for me personally right now than going back to that right at this time.
Yeah, I see this one being like number 2 and 3 in my backlog for like years. And then something else will swap out number 1 and something else will swap out number 2. But Cyberpunk will always be right there. I'm like, I should really play that. But
and if Christian was here right now, he would agree with you guys and say there's a much better experience you could be playing right now, and it's Halo Infinite. That's exactly what Christian would say. Yep.
He wouldn't say anything about Splitgate at all. He would definitely.
No, that's not Christian. Yeah. That's not Christian.
Moving on to the next story, Xbox Series S was the best-selling console on Black Friday, report says. The Xbox Series S was the best-selling game console on Black Friday, according to Adobe Digital Economy. This is no big surprise, as the Series S has been easier to find than the Xbox Series X, as well as the PS5 and the Nintendo Switch. All consoles have been affected by the ongoing global pandemic and semiconductor shortage and other supply chain issues, of course. The Series S is also the cheapest out of the three to get next gen right now. I thought that was a really cool story, but as the article says, it's not a huge surprise because, as the article says, it is the easiest one to get. But I thought it was interesting that Xbox kind of, even if it wasn't the easiest to get, do you think this would be much different? Do you think if PS5 was as easy to get as an Xbox Series S right now, would we have seen something different? Do you think it would have been a different number, or would Series S still be on the top because of it being so easy to get, or be the cheapest to get, I should say?
I think it's two things. So I think it is the availability. Obviously, like if you have maybe an uninformed parent who's just getting their child a new gaming system, then they might be going to just get a next gen machine. Like, what's the most powerful thing you have? And then maybe the Series S is all they have. But I do think that Xbox has been having one of its best years that it's had in a very long time. So I think if the PS5 was more accessible than the Series S, they might have been even, because I still think Xbox would be selling more than any other because they've had such a good year. Forza Horizon is a huge game, and it's also a casual game. It's not a shooter. It's not like The Last of Us, grim sort of story, adult theme. Like, it's a really popular game, and it's also really accessible. And then you have Halo Infinite free to play. Again, some people know that it's on PC, but if you're a parent buying something for your kid, you're not going to buy him a $4,000 gaming rig. You're going to buy him a Series S so that they can play Halo with their friends. So I think it's both of those things coming together, and that's why we're seeing Series S on top. Because if Series S was as hard to find as the other ones, you might see a tie between that and a PlayStation product because they just continue to outsell. But I think, in combination with the availability and how good of a year Xbox has been having, then I think those two things are really working in its favor.
Yeah, I agree, Gage, and like I also kind of think, like, to throw in a little bit as well, like I think there were rumors out there that Microsoft is actually producing more Series S's than they are X's by like a significant margin. So if that's true, then obviously they're trying to push people to buy the Series S, which is a cheaper console, and it might, make parents a little happier because they're dropping 300 as opposed to 500 on a next gen console. So when they go to the store, obviously the Series S is a lot more accessible because of the shortages, and it's available because people are less inclined to go after it and more supply. So parents see that on the shelves and they're like, hey, what is this? And then the employees tell them, yeah, that's just a next gen console. It's just a little cheaper and all this stuff. And like, we also forget sometimes, like, there's still probably a lot of people out there that don't even have 4K TVs. So if you don't have a 4K TV, there's really no need to even have the Series X. So yeah, I think it's a combination of things for sure.
Well, moving on to the reason that one of the reasons that the Series S was so popular, it being super hard to get anything else as well. But maybe it'll be easier soon, thanks to the U.S. Congress bill that could ban bots used to purchase consoles. I'm reading from the Game Informer. A new bill introduced to Congress could automatically ban bots often used by resellers to buy consoles such as the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. The news comes by the way of Video Games Chronicle, which the report that the bill, dubbed the Stopping Grinch Bots Act, was introduced by Representative Paul Tanko, Senator Richard Blumenthal, and Senator Majority Leader Charles Schumer. And Tanako says, our Grinch Bots Act works to level a playing field and prevent scalpers from sucking hardworking parents dry this holiday season. I urge my colleagues to join me in passing this legislation immediately to stop these Grinch bots from stealing the holidays. Sadly, considering the time it can sometimes take to pass a bill in Congress, especially during the global COVID-19 pandemic, there is a good chance this bill won't be passed before the holiday shopping season is over. However, it's still a welcome bill despite that, as it seems that buying a new gen console at MSRP will continue to remain a challenge in the new year. So yeah, I think this is a welcome bill. It would make things a lot easier for me to purchase a PS5 and many others out there as well. Dan, what do you think about this bill?
So this bill on paper sounds fantastic, and like I totally want to get behind this and like, say that this is going to work, but like my question is like, how are they going to stop bots? Like that this is great to say on paper that you want to stop bots and make it, illegal to do that or whatever, but like the actuality of stopping the bots is the issue, because if it was so simple, the retailers would already be doing these things to prevent bots from grabbing everything. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Like, do you guys think that this bill's gonna like change anything in terms of like, even if it does get passed, does this change anything in terms of like people actually being able to use the bots?
Yeah, I think it is interesting, that question, because I don't know. I'm just not even the person that you would ask this question, because I have no idea what kind of technology they would to prevent somebody from using a bot on a website. I don't even know the technology you would use to just use it today, or else I probably would have gotten one to get the PS5. But yeah, it is interesting to see what kind of rules or things or firewalls and stuff they set in place to prevent these actions. But the retailers are not really even losing anything by having these bots swoop up these consoles. They're getting their money, and I guess they don't really care either way. So that could be a reason why they haven't done anything. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it would look like. It is interesting to think about. Gage, what do you think?
I actually agree with you 100%. I think that this will probably result in more action being taken because to Microsoft and to Sony, they're selling their units. They get to announce their quarterlies and say we sold X amount. Like it's not really, and again, it's not really their fault either. Like they don't care because they're not responsible, right? They're doing what technically all they have to do. They're making their consoles and they're putting them up on their website and they're okay. Now you can buy. Now obviously they know that bots are taking all this stuff, but again, like you said, Rashan, they're getting the price that they want for their consoles, so they don't really have any reason to stop it. But I think that this could be a reason. But also, Dan, you're right, is that they're going to pass this law that says this is now illegal, but they don't have to pass. They don't have to approve the way they go about it. They're just going to pass a law that says, okay, this is no longer legal, and then how they enforce it, we'll have to wait and see. It could end up being something that's pro-consumer friendly. It could be something that requires you to put in way too much information than you want to. Like that's the other thing. That's the other trade-off. Is because right now we have the CAPTCHAs and the stuff like that. But if they pass a law and the retailers say, okay, well, this is the only way we can think of to actually do that, then who knows what that looks like. But yeah, this is a step in the right direction for sure, because something needs to be done about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's something that not only affects the gaming industry, but a lot more. Concerts, this has been happening to concerts for way too long. There's so many bands that I wanted to see, and like the launches of the Series X, 30 seconds after it goes live, it's sold out. And now the tickets aren't, $100 each, now they're $350 each. Great. Fun.
Yeah.
How about the
I know
sorry, go right.
Yes. No, I was going to say, I know sneakers is another big one that another industry that has trouble with these bots as well. But yeah, Dan, what were you saying?
How about the Spider-Man No Way Home tickets?
Oh my goodness.
What's going on with those? What are those getting up to now?
Absurd.
Absurd prices?
People, I think in some areas are getting up to like thousands of dollars for...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because people want to see it opening weekend before it gets spoiled, I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
That's crazy.
Are you going to do a media blackout, Rashan?
I almost got tickets, but yeah, I'll have to now because
Okay.
I didn't get them. If I could have gotten one for myself, but I didn't really want to go to see Spider-Man by myself. I don't mind going to the movies by myself, but not for Spider-Man. I wanted to see it with some people.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a bummer, but yeah, I'm gonna have to mute all the words, just stay off of Twitter for a bit until I get my tickets because I am not paying $1,000.
If you want to link up and go see it, I'm down to go see it.
I'll let you know if we could find tickets. Yes,
exactly. Yeah,
definitely love to. Moving on to the next story, Respawn has stopped selling Titanfall. Respawn Entertainment has decided to end sales of the original Titanfall game. Starting today, players will no longer be able to purchase Titanfall, and the game will be removed from subscription services like Xbox Game Pass on March 1st, 2022. Though Titanfall is no longer purchasable, players who already own the game will still be able to play. We will, however, be keeping servers live for the dedicated fan base still playing, Respawn wrote. It is not known how long Respawn intends to keep those servers around, though. Respawn also goes on to say that Titanfall is in their DNA, and and this incredible universe, they hope to continue this incredible universe, is what they said, along with, of course, the incredible hit that is Apex 2. And they want to, or not Apex Legends, they want to keep doing that too. But a little bit of mixed messaging, I guess you could say, but it is an old game to their defense. But I know a big thing that fans are unhappy with is just the amount of problems that arose in Titanfall, like the DDoS stuff and just some really crazy bugs that were happening in the original game. And I'm just deciding, you know what, let's just abandon it. And to an extent, I get it. It is an old game. There's other games that they want to focus on, like Apex Legends, and even the most recent Titanfall they could focus on too. But it is kind of sad at the same time. Gage, I saw you shaking your head. What do you think about this story?
I'm just upset. I've seen people getting hopeful because they say that Titanfall's in our DNA and we look forward to continue this in Apex and in the future. And they're taking that as, they're working on Titanfall 3. I don't think they are. I think nothing gets me more riled up than talking about Titanfall. I will never forgive EA for shooting this franchise in the leg and then telling it to run a marathon. I'm so upset. I've talked about this a million times. They absolutely sabotaged this franchise. And Titanfall 2 is one of the best first-person shooters that's ever come out. And in my opinion, the best first-person shooter campaign, pound for pound, ever. It's tight, it's quick, it's got some of the most interesting and unique levels I've ever seen. It's so good, and we're not getting Titanfall 3 for a long time. And I actually think how vague that this is worded is that they're trying not to temper expectations. They're focusing on Apex, which is a cash cow, and it is a good game. It's definitely not a cash grab or like a gimmick, like just another knockoff of a battle royale. It's a very unique game. I like the sort of MOBA slash battle royale stuff where you have heroes that have unique abilities and cooldowns and skills. It's good, but I don't think we're getting Titanfall 3 anytime soon. And I'm personally not upset about Titanfall 1 because Titanfall 2 was just better in every way. And I actually tried to go back and play Titanfall 1 after Titanfall 2 had launched. And it's crazy how slow paced that game is compared to Titanfall 2. So I'm not super upset about that. It had to be done, but I just want everybody to cool their jets a little bit, getting excited about Titanfall 3 because we're not seeing that for quite a few years.
Yeah, I agree with many of things that you just said, Gage. But like, it is disappointing. Like you said, Ro. It's been a long time since this game's come out back in 2014. So it is understandable that they're closing up shop, so to speak. Not quite completely because they're not getting rid of the servers yet, but they're kind of getting ready to close up shop. I feel like a year or two they'll probably shut down servers. Which it's very similar to like back in the day, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Like that was such a huge game when it came out, and that was a game that I loved so much back then and played so much. And I remember about 4 or 5 years after that game was out, and people were still playing that game, and it had just become so rife with modders and hackers and everything that it was just unplayable to play in that state. And obviously Activision didn't care, or any of the developers didn't care at that point because there had already been 4 other Call of Duty games that came out at that point. So it does suck at the end of the day to see like such a iconic moment in gaming, because I feel like Titanfall was like a really cool original idea that you hadn't really seen before. Obviously, mech assault and that kind of stuff, you saw like the mech side of things, but like combining that into like a first person shooter was such a innovative and cool idea. So it does suck for sure.
Yeah.
Well, here's hoping that someday, some far future, maybe an alternate universe, maybe somebody gets to enjoy Titanfall. Maybe it's not our universe, but somebody else does. Hopefully.
By the time we get to the time that Titanfall takes place, we'll have Titanfall 3.
Yeah. In the universe where EA didn't release it next to Battlefield, like 2 weeks before.
In between Battlefield, in between a week in between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of a game that I thought that we would never get, but is almost on the horizon, quite literally, Dying Light 2 goes gold nearly 2 months ahead of its release, following 2 delays, one that was indefinite and the other that only pushed the game's release date back 2 months. Dying Light 2 has finally gone gold well before its release. The game likely won't see its release date pushed forward though, like Sifu's recently was. With lead game designer Timon Smektela, I think, saying that the team will not slow down. The tweet reads, "Dying Light 2 has gone gold. It wouldn't be possible without your support over all these years. We will spend an additional time making sure that we'll deliver the best possible experience for you. Thank you for being with us. Can't wait to meet you in the city on February 4th. And good for them, because as the article says, 2 delays, and this was a game that I thought was just going to keep getting delayed. And I'm glad that it's ready for release, and they're going to spend all this time just making it the best product could be when it comes out February 4th, which is something that you don't see happen very often, so that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have experience with the original Dying Light. I have not played it, but I've heard great things.
Yes.
Are you guys excited for Dying Light 2?
Yeah.
I'm
I'm very excited for it. I think that everything we've seen thus far, I've been very happy with, and it feels like it's taking like that next step. So obviously, you don't know until the game's out and it's in people's hands and see how it turns out. But Yeah, I'm very excited. I love that combination of like Mirror's Edge, clambering and traversal throughout the city, and like zombies, and like the day night cycle is super interesting. How the zombies change when it's nighttime. I love that world. So I'm very interested to see what happens with Dying Light 2 for sure.
Yeah, Dying Light is my favorite game of 2015. I actually think it's a cult classic. That game is great. I tried to get into the Dead Island games, and it never clicked. But I played Dying Light, and I was like, okay, so mobility was the missing piece to this puzzle, because it is very much like everybody calls it a spiritual successor, but it is pretty much an unofficial sequel. Like the combat is exactly the same.
The same
a lot
developer.
of the leveling structures, same developer, exactly.
Yep.
It's just they added that one tweak, and it was that missing piece to the puzzle. Now, I agree with Dan. Everything I've seen looks really great. The problem is that I also read a lot about what's going on at the studio, and they've had quite a bit of a development hell going on.
Yeah.
And I think the guy is still in charge there. That everyone was saying, like, yeah, he's not great.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah, I
see.
remember
We'll
that.
see. We'll see what the finished product ends up being. They got Rosario Dawson in it now. I didn't know that was a thing, but she's, I guess, one of the main characters. She's great. So yeah, everything I've seen looks really good. Everything I've read has been not good. So I don't know. It went from being my most anticipated title to kind of worried about it, but I'm hoping that it is huge, because that team deserves it. Dying Light is really something special.
Well, we'll have to wait until February 4th. But again, I definitely remember what you're talking about, the development hell. I remember that being a story that we talked about on the show actually a while ago.
Yeah, I think I was there for that one actually. Yeah.
I just had forgotten about all of that because it's been so
real
long.
bad. It was real bad.
It was bad. Yeah, I'm not remembering it now. But yeah, I'm excited to check this out when it comes out February 4th for sure, because as you said, the team has definitely been working their butt off to make this happen. So I'm glad for them. But moving on to the next story, Valve confirms that there won't be any Steam Deck exclusive games. Valve has confirmed that it has no interest in publishing games that are exclusive to the Steam Deck. When asked about the matter, Valve's response was short and clear: no, that doesn't make sense for us. It's a PC, and it should just play games like a PC. And I think that just makes so much sense. It's interesting that this was a frequently asked question, because I think it just makes sense. It's a portable PC. But I just wanted to use this opportunity to talk to you guys about the Steam Deck and your interest in it, and like if it's something that you guys are interested in purchasing sometime when it releases or somewhere down the line. Is it something that speaks to you at all? Gage, what do you think about the Steam Deck? Because I don't know if I've talked to you about it personally yet.
No, I don't think we have yet. First of all, I love their response. No PR talk, no corporate speak. That doesn't make sense. And they're absolutely right. It's a PC. That's what it is. It's a handheld PC. So anything that comes to Steam comes to the Steam Deck. Makes sense. Right. Yeah, so for myself, I mean, I have a gaming PC that's my main way of playing games. So I won't get it personally, but I have a lot of frugal friends that are very happy with their consoles. In fact, I have one friend that has been playing the OG Xbox One up until just now. He managed to get a Series X. He and I were both on the hunt for the Halo one. So like we would play No Man's Sky together, and I would be like, "Okay, I'm here. I'm waiting for you," and he would just be sitting there waiting to travel for like 4 minutes while the hard drive spins up. So I have a lot of people that are interested in PC games that I am incapable of convincing to spend $1,000 to get a PC built. So I'm excited for the Steam Deck because it's going to open up a lot of opportunities to people who are happy with just low budget consoles, because now you can play a system that is actually more powerful than the Xbox One and the PS4. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I mean, I'm kind of waiting to see the Steam Deck the Steam Dock, if that's what they end up calling it, and seeing how that incorporates. Because if that adds even more power, I think the Steam Deck has 2 teraflops on paper, and the Xbox One and the PS4 had like 1.5 or 1.6 or something like that. So if the Steam Deck or the Steam Dock, this is like the CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk thing all over again. If the Steam Dock is like the Nintendo Switch, where it actually adds a little bit of power as well, you could see something that's maybe PS4 Pro levels of power, which isn't huge nowadays, especially with the Series X and the PS5. But in terms of playing the Steam library, I mean, you've got access to all those games that came out back in the early 2000s, all this stuff, especially if you're a PlayStation guy and you don't have backwards compatibility, this just opens up a huge library of things to people, and it's very easily accessible. You don't have to open it up and clean it and maintain it and install parts on it. It's just it's a PC console, kind of, right? Well, after we get the Steam Dock, once that's revealed. So I'm excited by proximity from the friends that are now going to be able to have this option, and I'm going to be able to play like things like Phasmophobia and all these fun little Steam indie games that come out that you can't play with your friends because they're on Xbox or PlayStation. So I am excited about it. I'm personally not going to get it.
Now, the question is are you going to have to download a separate app to be able to voice chat with people? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, this is great, and I think the most appealing thing to the Steam Deck is like you're saying, Gage, like the price for the performance that you're getting is a great value, and people don't realize because of the screen resolution, because of it being a smaller screen and the resolution being not as high because it doesn't need to be high with it being a small screen, it's less demanding for games as well. So it will make your games run better than if you had like a low powered PC plugged in and you're running like, 2K or something resolution. So yeah, it definitely has mass appeal, I feel like, but I guess we'll have to see how it actually ends up panning out, because I know, obviously, we all know that Steam has tried their hand at like a console-esque experience already, and it didn't necessarily go anywhere. They kind of backtracked on that because what was it called? The Steam Box, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So they have experimented with this kind of stuff, but maybe with it being a handheld, it will take off a little bit more than what that did.
Yeah, I don't remember the interest for the Steam Box because it was such a long time ago, I guess. But so far, it seems like a lot of people are interested in the Steam Deck, at least from the initial announcement. We'll see how, and a lot of people pre-order and put their like $5 down on it. So yeah,
I tried to put my just in case. I was like, you know what, I might want this. I don't know, or get it and then try and convince a friend to buy it off me. So it's like, hey, buy this so we can play.
Yeah,
we can play games together. Yeah,
and
Smart.
they actually had, to their credit, a great pre-order process where you could literally just order the console. It didn't matter that it was not, they ran out of their first wave of stock or whatever. You could just order it, and then it would tell you, all right, you're in this wave, so you'll get your console at this point. Like, I think that's such a better way of doing it, because you're kind of avoiding the whole scalper situation, because you're like, I know I'm getting my console at this date on this time or whatever, and I don't have to worry about trying to pay, twice the amount of retail for it on eBay or whatever.
Right. Now, could you order it through the web, or did you have to buy it on Steam? Because I saw it, that's how I saw it, is through Steam.
I don't remember exactly. I know you had to have your Steam account, and the account had to be over, I think, a year old, I think was their parameters. Yeah. There
you go. Like somebody else do this. Or even like 6 months old, a month old, something. Because, that's the thing. You had to already have a Steam account. Yeah. There you go. If you're somebody who's looking to scalp 50 of the units and you create an account that day, so, you can't get it. So, yeah, that's just another little tidbit I thought of, but... Yeah, and there's also rumors that they're working on a, and this is from the same website that leaked the Steam Deck itself, but they're saying that they're working on a budget VR headset that plugs into the Steam Dock. So that's what I'm saying, is like, this could be, say the Steam Dock's $200. The system itself is, the lowest model is what? I think $300 American, something like that. And then this headset, if it's anything like the Oculus, maybe it comes in around $300. That's somebody who can get started on VR for a very low cost. I don't think this Steam Deck it's not going to compete with Nintendo Switch, because families aren't going to buy it. It's not something that's going to be bought for children, but I think it might carve out its own niche market, where people who don't have a lot of money or are tight on money or whatever the reason, this is a really cheap option to get into PC games and eventually VR games if the leaks are true.
Yeah, definitely. There's a Steam Deck and the Switch, as you were saying, they don't really compete with each other But there are some other handheld gaming devices starting to keep up. Like just today, there was a Razer Snapdragon that was announced, where Razer and some chip maker company, I think I have it here, Qualcomm, was a high-end mobile chip company, is making their own like handheld gaming device. It runs cloud games, I think, though. So it's like it has Xbox Game Pass on there, and it runs 140 something games. But it's right now it's only in developer kits, so they're sending them out to different developers to work with. But yeah, it plays like Minecraft Dungeons and stuff like that. I'm trying to read really quick here because I had some specs on it, but I think I lost it. But there are some people that are
talking about it. I think this is 120 hertz.
Yes.
6,000 milliamp battery, and I can't remember what the screen resolution was.
It was
I want to
like
say OLED.
It was OLED, 120 hertz, I think, and it was like 6.6 inches screen size or something.
I can't remember what the resolution was, but it sounded really good on paper. So
yeah.
What the final product ends up looking like, I think the success of cloud gaming, more specifically xCloud, is having a lot of people think twice about mobile, because they can, even if you come up with a decently powered machine, if it can run half of the game and the other half is server dedicated, you're going to cut down on latency and you're going to be able to get a lot more out of your system. So this is cool. I like the idea of mobile games coming back, because we're all around the same age. We all grew up on the Game Boy Advance and the DS and all this stuff, and it was cool. It was fun. Now, granted, we played it in the car and we weren't the ones driving, so there was more time to play it. But it's still cool. I like the idea of mobile coming back, and there's a lot of AAA games that translate really well to mobile, like Wreckfest racing games, stuff like that. Platformers, Hades is another. I would play that if I had a Steam Deck or a mobile xCloud device. So yeah, no, it's cool stuff.
I remember back in the day, like when the PSP was a thing, I would always search up online, does Xbox have a version of this? And I would always search like Xbox handheld, and there would be all these fake mock-ups. I was like, oh my god, that looks so cool. Is that real? And obviously it wasn't. But now we're at a point where it quite literally is like, and there's so many versions of it. You could either have it on your iPhone or a system like the Snapdragon, where it's literally has the Xbox buttons on it. So it's really cool how far we have come since the Game Boy days.
Yes.
But moving on to the next story, Metroid Dread developer now working on a dark fantasy RPG. Metroid Dread developer Mercury Steam is currently working on a third-person action RPG that will be set in a dark fantasy world and has partnered with controlled publisher 505 Games to make it. 505's parent company Digital Bros released a press release announcing that Mercury Steam's next game is codenamed Project Iron, a third-person action RPG set to release on PC and consoles. While the company hasn't commented on the potential release window for the game, it does note that the project's initial investment amounts to 27 million euros, or around $30 million. You guys, I love Metroid Dread. It's one of my favorite games this year, so this is definitely some hype news for me personally. I don't know if you guys have played Metroid Dread yet, but Mercury Steam, this isn't their first game, like Metroid Dread isn't. They worked on Metroid Samus Returns as well, and a couple of Castlevania games. But I think it's very fair to say that Metroid Dread is probably the best game that they've made. So it's great to see them getting some more work, and with the 505 publishers. So that's pretty good. They publish a bunch of stuff. I don't think Control is like what you. It's the game that you think of now, but they've published so many different types of. But yeah, are you guys excited for this game potentially, or maybe you guys haven't dived into Dread yet, so you don't know yet?
I've played just like an hour or so of the demo, but yeah, it was really great what I played, and I think it's great that Mercury Steam gets to essentially, get a new lease on life, I guess, with 505 Games. And like Metroid Dread, obviously you said that's not their first game, but Metroid Dread was like a huge success for them, so it's great that huge success has kind of like propelled them into this next game with 505. So, and 505 has quietly done a pretty good job as a publisher. So I feel pretty confident with them, publishing their game. So
I've never played a Metroid game in my life. Never once.
You could definitely start with Dread. I have barely finished any of the other ones. I played a bit of Fusion, a bit of Zero Mission, and that's it. And I didn't even beat those ones. Metroid Dread was the first one that I beat, and it was awesome.
You saying Zero Emission?
Zero mission. Sorry,
Oh.
Zero mission. Yeah.
Okay.
Zero emission.
That was a very eco-friendly version
Yeah.
of Metroid.
Oh man, but I would definitely suggest it. It's a great game. Moving on to our final story before we get into what you got for me. DC Universe Online developer Dimensional Ink Studios is working on a Marvel MMO. According to a recent investor presentation, DC Universe Online developer Dimensional Ink is working on a Marvel IP-based massively multiplayer online game, as reported by Eurogamer and spotted by Miller on Twitter. This new MMO from Daybreak Games' Austin-based Dimensional Ink studio was revealed in a parent company and at Global 7's Q3 2021 physicals, and it's one of its long-term projects. This means we will most likely wouldn't see it in 2023 at the very earliest. I don't know if you guys have dabbled in DC Universe Online. I have not, but I do like a good MMO from time to time. I like to dabble, and Marvel is definitely up my alley. So, got my interest peaked. Gage, are you a little bit interested in this, or this is not a genre that you would see yourself playing?
No, I actually did try and boot up DC Online.
Ooh.
What did I play on? Maybe it was the Xbox One. It was so long ago. But I couldn't get past. Was it on Xbox One?
I didn't think it was on Xbox. I thought it was
DC
on...
Wait, DC Universe Online?
Yes.
I think it was on Xbox at one
it?
point. I think it was on PS4. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Is this the one where you can create? It's an MMO. You can create your own superhero, your own costume.
Yeah.
I could have sworn. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's available on Xbox now.
Oh.
But I don't know if it always was. But yeah,
I definitely did play it on Xbox.
It launched on PS3. That's why I was thinking, because it didn't come to 360. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not a big superhero guy. I like Spider-Man, and that's pretty much it. That's the only one I'm emotionally invested in. So I'm not big on the Marvel stuff, but the idea of creating your own superhero has always tickled my fancy. I mean,
Definitely.
we're all boys. We all had an imagination at one point, and at one point you're like, if I was a superhero, I would do X, Y, and Z, and I would have these powers, and this is what my suit would look like. So it seemed really cool. I never got into a match. I just sat in queue for the entirety, whatever playtime Xbox says I have on that game.
It was all in queue.
half of it was customizing my character. The other half was waiting to get into a lobby. I never actually played the game. I wanted to give it an honest try.
So
I think I tried it because I was listening to Kind of Funny, and they were talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds awesome." Never played it. Never got to play.
Yeah, Greg loved DC Universe.
Yes, it was Greg. It was definitely Greg. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg still loves it. He tweets about it nonstop. Actually, funny enough, when you were reading this and it said spotted by Miller on Twitter, I was thinking they were talking about
Greg Miller. Yeah. I thought so too.
But yeah, like you, Gage, I played a very, very well. You didn't even play, but I played a very small amount, like maybe 30 minutes of this on PS3 when I had my PS3.
And this is actual playtime?
Yes. Like,
okay.
I think there was like a hub world or something I'm remembering, and I kind of explored that for a little bit, and then for whatever reason, I set it down and I never went back to it. So, yeah, but obviously, DC Universe Online is pretty well regarded from a lot of people, and Greg Miller loves it, so it must be a decent game. I mean,
he also likes the Marvel's Avengers.
That's good point. Good point. So yeah, don't.
So I'm hyping up Spider-Man the other day, and I was like, I've heard that it's not great.
Yeah, don't trust Greg Miller. What was I thinking?
I will say that I know that the initial gameplay of Spider-Man looked like hot garbage, but the war table that they did definitely made it look better. It's obviously more scripted, the war table, because it's a presentation, but it did look better. So I will give him that. But yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. That's pretty much my extent of it anyways. It'll be interesting to see them make a Marvel version of that, and obviously they're well equipped to do it. So yeah.
I think it also goes to show, like, they don't really have any competition. There's no other big games right now that it's make your own superhero game. And I still think, even though I'm not a big superhero guy, if I won like $100 million and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna fund a game, it would definitely be a game where it's like, okay, create your superhero, and how you act depends on how the world reacts to you. So if you go around killing people, then you become a vigilante, and if you go around being the good guy, like,
Like
why
Mass
has nobody
Effect.
made this game yet? Why
Like
exactly Mass
Paragon.
Effect, but open world, New York, and it's like, okay, you can be the Punisher or you can be Spider-Man. Like, why? Why has nobody made this game yet?
That's a good point. Good point.
All right, we've made it to what you got for me. We made some good conversation out of the few stories that we got. So good for us. Moving on to what you got for me, Daniel.
Yes.
What you got for me?
I've got, of course, more Halo Infinite. Of course, I'm still enjoying it the heck out of it. It's funny that they made some progression improvements, which I know me and Gage have talked about it, and we don't even really we agreed we don't even really need progression improvements at this point. It's just customization improvements that we need, and like the progression is so fast now. I played last night, and the new weeklies came up, and I used my double XP. I think I'm close to like 70 now on the battle pass.
Dang.
And there's
Holy!
yeah, and
The last
there's
time you and I
100.
played, there was a good gap between us. I think I'm only at 70.
Yes.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
God.
it's going a lot quicker now. So there's up to 7 matches. You get more XP per match above 7 matches. Like it starts at like 300 XP and then 200 and then 200 and then 100, etc. So you get a lot more match XP now with the most recent changes that they made. So a lot quicker rank up, which that's fine. That's fine. It gets my stuff quicker in the battle pass. But Forza Horizon 5, I've also been playing a little bit. I played a little bit with Gage and Gage's friend as well. Glenn, yes. I apologize.
He may be
Glenn.
listening, so we'll just give him a name drop.
I apologize, Glenn. Your name escaped me for the 5 seconds that I was trying to think of it, and Gage swooped in and saved me. But anyways, yeah, enjoy and still enjoying that. I didn't really dive in too much, but I did go back and make sure I checked in on Master Chief Collection to get all my rewards or all my items for the week, because they are still dropping new items for the 20th anniversary. I am, yes, scratching that itch. I'm gonna keep going back, Gage. I keep going back to do the weekly challenges for MCC because I want all of the armor. I have to have it all. Anyways,
I love it.
that's
I
all.
love it. Gage, what you got for me?
Pretty much the same as Dan. Also, I want to shout out myself for that Forza Horizon session that the three of us were playing, because we were all hitting the same jump, and I had to translate all of Dan's scores from Imperial to metric on the
Yes.
fly, because we were all comparing who could get the longest.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
Dan's like, I got 1,700. How many meters is that?
Yeah.
Okay, let me think about this real quick.
In reality, I should have just changed the option in the game options. To
We never
just
thought
match.
of that.
Yeah.
That would have been easiest, right? You just change it for the session and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon 5 is great. A beautiful game. They deserve all the props in the world. What a great what a great creative choice to go out and say no, we're doing Mexico, because I could see how that would get pushed back from the suits and ties that don't know video games and go Mexico, desert, but like it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. The game is absolutely incredible. The cities and the decals and the graffiti and all this. It's a beautiful game. Halo Infinite.
Speaking of Mexico, somebody's in Mexico right now.
Somebody is in Mexico right now, exploring ruins.
Christian.
Yes.
Last we heard, yes, and hopefully not. I know he's a book reader. What's that book called? Oh no, I don't know. The Ruins. Oh, The Ruins is what the book is called. I made a book reference, Christian, if you're listening.
I
Smart.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Halo Infinite, which is unfortunate because that's the loudest criticism. Although you know what, I think the reason people are complaining about progression is because all of the customization is at the tail end of the battle pass. I think they do kind of go hand in hand. People think they want faster progression, but what you really want is better customization. So I was glad to see 343 respond to that so quickly, but I am waiting for that bigger blog where they discuss what they're going to do about customization and armor cores and pieces between it, all that stuff. That's what I really care about. But as we said before, the core gameplay is literally perfect. Halo Infinite is so much fun. I've been having a blast. Dan and I have been playing together. A bunch of other friends, a bunch of people who are not Halo people are getting into it. It just makes my heart happy. It's good. And then the last game is Hades. I finally beat Hades. I'm not going to say what happens because I've recommended it to a couple people who may be listening, but I love what they do with the ending of that game and how it feeds into the type of game that it is, I thought that was super clever.
Good.
And it is so good. And you know what's funny is I was kind of like half caring about the story, half like I would listen to some conversations, other ones I'd skip through. Like I'm kind of like, okay, this is okay. I really just like the gameplay. But as soon as I didn't skip a single thing for that final cutscene where you're talking to that person, and I was like, this is really good. This is really something special. So I was already hooked before, but now I'm like, okay, let's get run 2 and 3 done now. So Hades is so good. Hades is great. I know I'm super late to the party, but I mean Hades is awesome. If you like roguelites and dungeon crawlers and isometric action, oh man, Hades is so good. You got that bug.
Absolutely. Yeah, hearing you talk about it makes me want to go back and keep going, because I quote unquote, like I keep talking about it, I quote unquote beat it, but I haven't gone back to the end to finish the story pretty much. But yeah,
and I will say, for Christian's sake, I did it with the blade, and I did it with Curse Slash, and I did use his Divine Dash recommendation. But I found that the Curse Slash was the best way to make it all the way through the end, where you get health back on every attack, but you have less health.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, the games that I have been playing, what I've got for you guys is Voice of Cards, the Isle Dragon Wars, which I talked about a couple weeks ago. It's a card-based JRPG where everything takes place with the medium of cards, and the battles are done with cards, and the cutscenes are with cards, and the overworld is cards, and it's really cool. I like the medium to tell the story, and it's just one voice, one narrator guy who shows up in a lot of Yoko Toro's games. Yoko Toro is the guy who made the Nier Automata, Nier Replicant, and all those games. So it's really good. The story is very basic fantasy, but I'm assuming something crazy is going to happen because it's a Yoko Toro game, and usually something crazy happens when he's behind it. And I'm enjoying it so far, having a blast with it. And Scarlet Nexus is another game that I'm playing on Game Pass. I believe it got nominated for Best RPG. So I definitely wanted to see what all the fuss was about, because it's an anime game, and I love me some anime games. And the combat is really fun. I also like Bandai Namco because they usually make some really cool combat games as well. So enjoying it so far. Very early on in that right now, but it had an anime opening after the first couple of missions, and it's like, okay, you got me. You sold me there. It was a hype opening, so I have to see it through now. But yeah, the gameplay is really fun. The characters are very, again, anime, so if you're not into that style of storytelling, you may not enjoy the story so much, but the combat, I think anybody can enjoy. It's really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. I do want to get back to Halo Infinite. Are about to play it, please let me know. I definitely would like to jump in with you guys from time to time.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a while since a week since I booted up Halo Infinite, so I want to give it a shot again.
I'm excited for you to play the campaign of Halo Infinite and see, since you don't have as much experience with the rest of the games, to see what your thoughts are going to be on it.
I am interested as well.
Yes.
But moving in, everyone, to the topic of the show. I'm very excited to talk to you guys about your Game Awards predictions. Everybody out there, we're going to give you our predictions for games and maybe some other things that may be announced at the Game Awards. And guys, I was thinking we could go take turns. Maybe Dan starts, then Gage, then myself, and then we just give one and one until we're out of predictions, I guess. What do you guys think about that? That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So Dan, what you got for us for your first prediction?
All right. So Awards? This is taking obviously some rumors that we've been hearing and just diving straight ahead. And obviously me and Christian are going to be in the audience, and if this happens, I will be the loudest scream in that entire freaking Microsoft theater. But Halo TV series, a full trailer revealed at the Game Awards with a release date when it airs on Paramount Plus. I'm very excited for this. I don't care that Gage is not excited for it. I'm going to be excited for it, Gage. But yeah, if this happens, I will literally freak the fuck out.
I will, for the jury, I will say I am excited for it to release. I am excited for it. I'm personally not getting my hopes up that it'll be what I'm looking for, but I am excited to see it. It's got a great cast. It's got a phenomenal cast. And I am a bit of a film snob, so it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, on paper, this looks really good. It's just that one little thing. But, yeah, no, it looks... the little trail we've seen so little. Also, it's been in development since 2015. Yeah, no. See, the more I think about it, the more pessimistic I get. So I do think this is the place to show something, though. I do think this is a solid prediction because the Game Awards does like to blend its media. Like there's always a band, there's a live band, and it will show like trailers for TV, and they do a lot of like videos of like documentaries and these little mini docs on games and all that stuff, interviews with developers. So I think that's a solid prediction. Absolutely.
Have we gotten a release date on this show yet? Like
just like a general 2022 right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. Do you think we see a month at this?
I think we see
this trailer does that
an exact day when it
If
starts.
they do show it, I think he's right. I think we'll get an exact date. Yeah.
Well, that's something to look forward to.
They've only been working on it for 7 years. So.
Oh man, Gage, what do you have for us for your first prediction?
Okay, I have State of Decay 3 written down. This is kind of a wish more so, but I mean it has been 2 years since they showed us that cinematic trailer. So if we were to get an update, even if it's far out, I feel like this is probably a good gap to kind of touch base. And even if it's another cinematic, or if it's like I said, one of those docs where it's just them going around Undead Labs talking to the developers, and you see a little bit of gameplay in the background on a monitor or something like that. I want an update on State of Decay 3. I think it's time that we do get one. I know it's not necessarily a big franchise yet, but judging from the tone of that cinematic trailer, it seems like Microsoft might be trying to prop it up to be one of their core franchises and offerings. And I mean, on console, it is an untapped market. There's not a lot of survival sim zombie games. Open world survival sim zombie games, so I am hoping for that. I'm hoping because State of Decay 1 and 2 are great games, and I'd love to see them get the full backing of Microsoft, which is what State of Decay 3 is going to be.
I haven't dove into any of those games, but I've been a watcher from the outside, watching people play it and get excited for like State of Decay 2, and that wasn't exactly what anybody wanted apparently.
It launched broken. It was pretty good in terms of like its gameplay. It had a broken launch, similar to a lot of games. They ended up fixing it quite a while after, but yeah.
Okay. Well, before I get into my first prediction, I also wanted to say I took a look back at some of the previous announcements of Game Awards before to just maybe give me a good idea of what could come this year. And I just realized that Century of Ashes, do you remember this game? The dragon multiplayer game? It's a free-to-play game where you ride on a dragon and you're shooting down. Do you guys remember this? No?
I vaguely remember something with dragons because people joked, I think, that it was like Scalebound or something.
Right. Yeah, and it's a really beautiful game, but it's a multiplayer game, and it comes out tomorrow, guys. This was announced at the Game Awards last year, and it literally releases tomorrow. And I was looking, it's like, oh my god, what was that dragon game? And I searched it up, and I was like, maybe they update us on it at the Game Awards, and I find out it's being released tomorrow. So everybody, check out Century of Ashes, which releases tomorrow, and it is free to play. So just wanted to let you guys know that because I totally forgot.
Is it bad? I don't remember the game at all, but I remember that meme. As soon as you said that, Dan, I remember seeing that on Twitter where people would be like, "Oh, is this Scalebound?" I don't remember the game though. I don't remember the game at all, but that's cool. Did they announce this date as the release back when they announced it at the previous? Did they say it was coming out December 2nd or December 1st?
I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think they just gave like a window.
Okay.
But my first prediction, guys, is Resident Evil 4 is teased. The remake of Resident Evil 4. So I don't know if that's a crazy prediction, but I know there's been some like rumors ever since 3 came out. So maybe they give us the VR thing came out, so maybe they're gearing up for the actual proper remake of RE4.
Wasn't there like an audio person or something that had just like
a voice actor?
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. I forgot about that. But yes, I made this super informed prediction because of that. Yeah.
So I just totally. That reaction was actually because I thought you accidentally wrote in Christian's spot, so I was like, I was getting ready for you to talk about the Bloodborne, and then you said that. I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
No, Christian snuck in and he put his predictions.
I saw that now. Yeah. No, I think that's a totally safe bet because Resident Evil 2 is a huge hit, and I absolutely love the Resident Evil 2 remake. Resident Evil 3 Remake, I had fun. I'm not a hardcore fan of the old ones, so I didn't really notice the changes that they made. I know that some people were really upset that they shortened it quite a bit and they cut out a lot of content. But, I mean, the trajectory is clear that they're going for Resident Evil 4. They wanted to start with the old ones, probably get their bearings, because they know Resident Evil 4 is like the most beloved Resident Evil game. And that's the one that I do have memories playing. So I am extremely excited about that, and I hope you are right, Rashan, because I'm so ready. If it's anything like Resident Evil 2 Remake, it's going to be phenomenal.
And that game literally needs a remake. Like it's such a great game, or it was such a great game, but like it needs a remake. It doesn't play as good right now.
No, the no walking and shooting nonsense is. I have no patience for that. He's elite special trained forces, and he can't waddle while he shoots. Come on.
Please, Capcom, give us what we want. But yeah, as Gage hinted, Christian also added his predictions, even though he's not still here to contribute in spirit. So I'm going to read his first prediction here. The Bloodborne PS5 patch is announced. Finally, we get 60 frames per second Bloodborne. That would be great. I think a lot of people have been waiting for this. I know Christian has, but I think a lot of people in the Soulsborne/Bloodborne community, if anything, they want a PC version of this, but if anything, at least a patch on the PS5 to scale it up a bit. So I think that would be awesome if they do announce that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Dan, what is your second prediction?
All right, so my second prediction, and this is going to be a long shot because I know between me and Gage, I don't know what the rest of yours are, Ro, but between me and Gage's predictions here, there's no way in hell that Microsoft is showing this much stuff at the Game Awards this year. So, but
some of us are going to be wrong here. Yeah,
they did say that it was the biggest show yet. So
it's true.
So maybe
that's true.
Maybe.
But I put on here, IO Interactive is going to either announce their new partnership with Microsoft and announce what game that's going to be, which it's rumored to be like a Dragon Fantasy-esque RPG, I think is what the rumors are. Or if it's not that, or I put a caveat in here, I think they may show a first tease at their James Bond game, which either of those I would be very stoked to see. I obviously love IO's work with Hitman and feel like they really, every single iteration of Hitman got better and better each time, and feel like they knocked it out of the park with Hitman 3. So very, very interested to see them work on a Bond game, and if they announce that at the Game Awards, that'd be awesome. A new trailer.
Thank you. Yeah.
They're Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say how much I know how many people the Hitman games and how hyped people were getting for the James Bond thing and how much IO Interactive and that project was such a match made in heaven for so many people. So I hope hope you're right that it does get announced.
Yeah, that's literally just what I was going to say. Literally, IO is the perfect developer to do this. They need to do 3 things to make a great James Bond game from the framework of Hitman 3, right? Give Agent 47 some hair. You don't deduct points for killing guards. And he aims his weapon with 2 hands instead of 1. Dude, that's a James Bond game. There you go. That's it. That's all you need to do.
They already
He's
have
got the suits. He's got the stealth, the infiltrate. Like it is a match made in heaven. It really is. Like every now and again, the stars align in the gaming sphere. And IO Interactive making a James Bond game is that. Yeah. It's so good. I cannot wait.
Gage, what's your second prediction, sir?
Okay, I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go big for this next one.
Ooh.
The Last of Us Factions is revealed. Maybe not a release date, but this thing, I mean, they've got to show something, because the expectations for this game, even though it's not in the forefront of the conversation, you got to do the math on it. It was supposed to launch as just a multiplayer mode with Last of Us 2. They said, no, we're going to delay a little bit. And it's been, what, a year and a half now since The Last of Us launched? 2 years? The pandemic time has messed up my brain. Did The Last of Us come out in 2020 or 2019?
It was 2020 because it won Game of the Year last year, right?
Right, okay, yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a year and a half since then. And they haven't said anything about it. So I think, as I've said before, I think Sony might try to make this a long-standing multiplayer game where this is their multiplayer sort of thing. I think we're going to get a reveal. We might not get a release date. We might not get a release window. I think it's time to reveal it and show the people what they've been grinding and working on. because people are also going to get antsy about the next Naughty Dog single player game. So if they come out and they show something awesome that looks super cool, there's been leaks about like a massive free roam map where it's like a maybe battle royale, maybe it's like a PvPvE type thing, which would be awesome if you have to fight other players and there's clickers scattered about. Like, this is the problem, is that people are just like, what is this game? Like, why is it taking so long? Not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Like, what are you guys doing to this multiplayer experience that you guys have been, heads down at the grindstone for a year and a half past when it was supposed to come out already? I'm excited, and I think it's time to just show a little something. An update. I think we're going to get a reveal, but that's just me.
Will this be free to play, Gage?
It will not be free to play, of course not. And it's probably going to be bundled with The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 collection. It's also my other side note to that. But, yeah, Factions reveal. I want it. I think it's time. Show it. Give it to me, Jim. Give it to me.
And I'll just piggyback off of that. It was going to be my final prediction. I'll say it now because I was a little hesitant to even write it down. Last of Us Remastered is announced. The little collection that they have going on with Tlu 1 and Tlu 2, I thought it was too soon, and even for the multiplayer thing, I don't know. I don't know if it's time yet. Maybe it is. They did say they were aggressively hiring earlier this year for their first standalone multiplayer game, which I'm assuming is The Last of Us Factions thing. So maybe it is time to see a little bit of a teaser for whatever that multiplayer thing is. But yeah, I don't know. I could see it happening, but at the same time, we just go another year without seeing it. But for the remastered collection, I feel like it's more likely, I guess, to see that because they have The Last of Us 2 is already done. And they've probably been working on this for a while as well. Yeah, it's one that's a little hit or miss for me. I don't know how confident I feel about the prediction.
Well, and the problem is that it's so, like, we don't know what it is. Is it, when they started aggressively hiring, was that the start of the project, or was that because they're like, we want to ramp this up, and then they had a team working on this from whenever they started The Last of Us Part 2? Like, we just don't know, because if that is the case, it could have had that, half of Naughty Dog working on it all the duration of The Last of Us Part 2 development, and then they hired a bunch more at the tail end, or the reinvigorating of it, or whatever. Like, we have no idea. Did you guys start when you hired? Did you guys just ramp up at that point and it's almost done? No idea. I think it's time for an update. But yeah, nobody knows what to expect from this. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun.
And Christian's second prediction here, folks, is Kojima Productions video reel for his TV and music studio. So we talked about this, I believe, last week, that Kojima is expanding to different medias besides gaming and opened a new division at his studio. And maybe we get a little tease of what he could be using that expansion for. So I think that would be really cool. Geoff loves Geoff. They definitely have a bromance going on. So I could definitely see Kojima using this stage to kind of tease what's to come with his new studio expansion for sure.
Christian's not even here, and he's still the most based person on this podcast. that is the safe of all the predictions that I'm reading. That is the absolute safest one. He's going to show a sizzle reel. None of those projects are actually real. He's not written a single thing down, but you bet your ass Kojima's going to be there with a sizzle reel. Absolutely.
He's like, I have this idea for this.
Yeah, it's going to be Norman Reedus and the woman from Bond, and they're going to have all these weird quick cuts of things. None of it's real, but it'll be there. Absolutely.
My goodness.
I love Kojima. God bless him. God bless him.
Dan, what is your third prediction?
My third prediction is an exciting one. Breath of the Wild 2, I think, gets a gameplay trailer and a release date. Let's go. And it's going to release this isn't part of the prediction. This is a joke. It's going to release next spring next to Horizon Forbidden West. Just like last time.
No, not again. Oh man, I really hope so. Those Breath of the Wild trailers, the original one, I go back and watch those every now and again. They are so good. And if we get one for the Breath of the Wild 2 at the Game Awards, I'm gonna get so hyped for that as well. Yeah, man, I'll never forget the one that I always forget the Zelda man's name, but when he was like talking about Zelda, it was just like a nice field, and then he's just like, "Why don't you take a look at more?" And then the horse just comes in, and it's so good, such a good trailer. So I hope we get that, Dan. That would be awesome. People have been waiting for this for so long. So yeah, I hope we get a release date. Please.
Agreed.
Gage, what is your third prediction?
This is probably, I think, my safest bet that I have here, but I think we're going to get an update on the Xbox capture update that they've been working on for quite a while. It's been a common complaint among the Xbox community that their capture system is far behind what the competitors have. I mean, not Nintendo. Nintendo's is non-existent. I mean, but PlayStation 5, you can do a whole lot. You can edit clips together. You can do transitions and slow down effects and all this stuff. And Xbox has really been sorely missing that. And they actually just, I think just last week, they announced a small little thing in terms of their update. Or maybe it was a studio they acquired or something. I remember reading a little something. But it's been in the works for a while. A lot of industry insiders have talked about it, that it is something that they're working on. They did have an acquisition earlier in the year that kind of lined up with that. So I think we're going to get some sort of announcement about what to expect, when it's coming, what's happening. And I think it'll be a nice little overhaul for the capture system. Yeah, I think we're going to get details or a trailer or some sort of video documentary or something about the Xbox capture system and the big update they have planned.
And my next prediction, my third prediction here, is kind of a big one, but not a big one, but it encapsulates a couple of different games, but indie updates. So I know sometimes they have like little smaller titles that they like to announce, like Open Roads was year, which was a cool indie title with a mom and daughter sort of adventure by Fulbright. Fulbright has kind of gone radio silent after what happened with their leader, or their head at the office there. They haven't tweeted anything since August 4th. And their game is still slated for this year, which I doubt is still happening, unfortunately. But I would love to see an update on that game. Among other games, other indie games like Oxenfree 2, River City Girls, which is River City Girls 2, I mean, the sequel. It got announced earlier this year. Hopefully we get some gameplay, even though it's probably just more River City Girls. And another one is Silksong, Hollow Knight Silksong. Maybe that would be finally announced at the Game Awards. I know Christian would love that as well. So maybe we finally get those indie updates at the Game Awards as well, because I know he likes little sizzle reels of smaller titles as well. So hopefully that happens for the indie folks out there. And Christian's third one was Blue Point's new game. Please, please. He says Chrono Cross remake is real? Question mark, question mark. So I'm not sure if those are the same. Maybe. Like Blue Point is working on the Chrono Cross remake. But yeah, that would be, both of those would be cool. Hopefully the Chrono Cross thing is revealed at the Game Awards. That'd be cool. And Blue Point, whatever they're working on, whether it be Chrono Cross or something original, I would be very excited to see what they got cooking as well. Daniel, what is your fourth prediction?
My fourth and final prediction is Horizon Forbidden West gives us a brand new trailer, spanking new trailer, gameplay, something we haven't seen before. And I think we will get a release date attached to it as well. And as I joked before, maybe it releases next to Breath of the Wild too. They both reveal it. Like, the best timing would be if they're like if they're positioned in the show to be right after one another, and they're like, "Yeah, here's my date," and they're like, "Oh no, not again. Here's our date." So good.
That would be amazing. Yes. Oh my gosh! And I would love to see stuff as well. Never seen that.
Do you think? Because I think that's a safe bet as well. But do you think that it'll be a gameplay heavy sort of demo where it's like, this is the open world, this is the mechanics? Do you think it's going to be more story sort of driven trailer?
I think they'll definitely have gameplay in it, but I think it probably will be like a story based trailer, because they've already shown us a giant, well, not a giant, but they've shown us a decent chunk.
Pretty substantial size, yeah.
So yeah. And with it being the Game Awards, I don't see them doing, an extended gameplay trailer or anything like that. I think it definitely will be like a 2 to 3 minute, story-based trailer with maybe some gameplay sprinkled in.
Yeah. Gage, do you have any more predictions for us?
Yeah, I've got two little ones that I'll just throw together.
Two
So
little
there's
ones.
well, one little one and one big one.
Okay.
So there's gonna be some Ubisoft nonsense. There's gonna be some Ghost Recon Frontlines bullshit or some other free to play version stripped down of their IP. There's gonna be no Splinter Cell, just Ubisoft nonsense, right? There's just gonna be Ubisoft nonsense. And then my Hail Mary wish. This isn't necessarily a prediction because I don't think it will happen. But my Hail Mary wish upon a star is some sort of update on Perfect Dark. Please, I want it. I want it now. This game is like one of the first games I ever played as a living being creature, and it should not have been. Is it not at all appropriate for children? But it holds a very special place in my heart, and I want this game so bad. At least what I think it could be, I want really bad. So an update is my Hail Mary. I don't think we will see it because we just got a reveal trailer last year.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see.
That'll be awesome if that does happen. But yeah, it is a Hail Mary one for sure. I feel like we always have to have one of those thrown in there because if it does happen, you'll be crazy.
Oh yeah,
everybody would call you a prophet.
That would be my scream at the top of my lungs moment if they showed a gameplay trailer and a release window. I'd be like, I'd be losing it.
I mean, like someone lost it last year when they announced that Perfect Dark was coming back. You know,
did you lose it?
Yeah, you haven't seen that video?
No, that's awesome. Because you know what's funny is I don't know how much of a Perfect Dark fan you are, but I lost it as soon as the little red glitches showed up on the screen. I knew it. I knew from the little red glitches before they started talking to people.
Yeah,
I was like, that's Perfect Dark. That's Perfect Dark, and I started losing it.
I had known that it was rumored that Perfect Dark was going to be their game, but like my mind was like blanked out when I realized that it was the initiative, because when I was talking to Ro, we were live streaming it. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be the Dead Space remake," because Geoff had he had led into it by saying it's a game from a veteran team and all of this. And I was like, oh, it's going to be the Dead Space, game, because that ended up getting shown as well. But no, it ended up being Perfect Dark. And as soon as Daryl Gallagher popped up, I was like, holy shit, that's Gallagher. And then it showed the initiative, and I was like, oh, all right, let's go. But yeah, I didn't get it quite as soon as you did. I saw the laptop gun on the wall, and I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't say it out loud, but I said, wait a minute. And I let it keep playing, and then I saw the Datadyne logo, but I couldn't fucking I couldn't remember the name of it, so I just was like freaking out. I was like, what? Because you know how it looks like a P and a D for Perfect Dark, like the logo, but I couldn't remember Datadyne. I couldn't remember the name, so I was like, fuck, this is Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, Gage, I put the video in the.
I saw that. I gotta take a look at that. Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Yes.
Daniel's reaction to it is pretty sick. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Gage?
Oh no! The Datadyne logo is when the whole crowd lost it, because that's one of the most recognizable ones. I wish I was live streaming it because I started losing it, and my friend was there, and at that point nothing happened except for the little red specks. But I just, from when you boot up in the main, I just knew it. I started freaking out. He's like, "What are you? No, they haven't even showed anything yet." Yeah. I was like, "It's Perfect Dark. It's Perfect Dark. I know it." And then of course it turned out to be that. Yeah, I'm so excited for this game. I would love an update. We're not gonna get one. I would love one anyways.
Yeah.
And my final prediction is sort of a pie in the sky one too, with the history of Telltale games and where they are right now. But Wolf Among Us 2. Maybe we finally get an update on this. This was announced that they are working on it last year, I think at the Game Awards as well. So maybe it is too soon. But I would love to see a little bit more about this. They are developing the entire season at once, so I think that's awesome. Trying to follow in the footsteps of the Life is Strange. I think they did that for one of the Walking Dead. No, they didn't. I was going to say I think they did that for the last Walking Dead. I don't think they did. They released it episodically still. But I think it is so much better to just release it all in one huge package. But anyways, I would love this to be revealed a little bit more, get a peek behind the curtain. If not, just another little update to just give us some hope that it is coming along smoothly. Because man, I love The Wolf Among Us. The original was so good, and
So good.
I would love to play the sequel. So hopefully they don't shut down again before they make this.
I didn't know they were. I thought they were
Yeah.
done. I didn't know they were still around. So somebody came and bought them and saved them. Then, right? Okay.
Well,
the last update to that story, for whatever reason, was that they were going under.
Sort of. A company bought the naming rights to Telltale, and it's not the same. It's not all the same people. There are some people that returned, but it's not all the same people.
So then, I guess this will be the test to see if the right people stayed, and that it feels like. So I haven't played The Wolf Among Us. I know that's like one of their best ones.
Yes.
I played obviously the Walking Dead games, and the Walking Dead season 1 is like probably the most emotional I've ever gotten playing a video game. It's absolutely brutal. But yeah, that might be one that I pick up on the Xbox actually if it's on sale. Pick up The Wolf Among Us because I know that a lot of people talk about that as if it's one of their best ones that they've done.
It's great.
Absolutely, it is really good. I would definitely recommend you try it out, Gage, for sure. And anybody else out there who hasn't tried it, definitely pick up The Wolf Among Us before, hopefully, The Wolf Among Us 2 comes out. But if there aren't any other predictions, we could wrap up the show.
What happened to Blue Box?
Oh, what did happen to Blue Box?
What happened to Blue Box, huh? Where's that Silent Hill game, Kojima?
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah, throw that in your sizzle reel.
I think Christians out there are still hoping for that.
Yeah. What's going on with that?
Here's hoping it's at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone, again, for watching us live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And you can find us as podcast services as well, everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Gage. And thank you, Christian. You were here in spirit. You gave us your predictions. Thank you for that. I hope you're having a good time in Mexico. And anybody else out there, thank you for listening. I am Rashan, and later will be greater.
Much love.
Later.